Here's some good information for you. You know, what is a vegetable garden worth? You say, but I don't have but 1 or 2 feet or just a container or something. Well, we've had another video coming out on containers. But you know, 1 tomato plant with the price of tomatoes in the grocery store and at the markets being $1, $2, $2.50 a pound, 1 tomato plant that produces only about 10 pounds of tomatoes to 15 or 20 pounds of tomatoes can be worth upward from $35 to $60. And if you've got a space for 5 or 10, let's say 10 tomato plants, that could be worth $350 to $600 back to you. And not to mention all the other things that you can grow. I'm gonna take this hat off because it's a little warm this morning and we happen to be filming or videotaping in the shade. And here's some little tips for you. Organization is important. I used to find myself buying the same seeds over and over and over. I got this old shoebox and I just cut up some cards and I put you know, different categories of vegetables and seeds and things that I could have: beans and okra, squash, tomatoes, vegetables, and then flowers. And those are general categories that I kind of keep up with, and that saves me money too. You know, it's not about the money you spend all the time, it's about that money that you can save. Here's another one, a little hack for you. A Listerine bottle or Equate mouthwash bottle, that's some heavy duty plastic, and those make a great scoop. And here's what you can do. See, you can use that, cut it down, be careful, very careful. And this is the way it comes out of it. It's a heavy duty plastic, and I've used this one for quite a long time. I have several of them. I keep them in my fertilizer, I keep them in the chicken feed and other things to scoop things up and to make it easy. Now, another item that is readily available anywhere in the United States is this Ortho Sprayer. And if you want a particular mix on it, whether you're spraying a pesticide, a fungicide, or a liquid fertilizer, here's a dial here. You just simply turn this dial and it tells you the mix, but you have to follow the label directions on the sprayer and on the chemical you might be using. In this case, this chemical is a yield boost, and it's a liquid calcium to stop blossom end rot. And you can spray that. You don't have to apply it as a liquid at the base of the plant, but you can also apply it in one of these sprayers and get good coverage. Just follow the label directions. Another thing that'll cut down on blossom end rot is this Epson salts. And I use, when I mix it in a 5-gallon bucket, I use 1 cup to 5 gallons of water. And then I come out and I pour 1 quart of that mixture at the base of my tomato plants, and it won't hurt if you get it on the leaves. So 5 gallons, you put 1 cup, you dissolve it, make sure it's dissolved real good, quart jar, and I come out and I water each plant with it and let it just run down over the leaves, and it will find its way down to the base of the tomato plant. Something else that's I want to share with you: if your garden is eaten up with nutgrass, what you might want to try is some of this image. It's originally designed for lawns, but it will kill the nutgrass. So what I do when the plants are young, I take and cover the plants with these cups. Depending on the size I need, I just cover them, and I go out and being very careful not to get it on the cups if I can help it. But I have the plants covered in case some gets over there or if some vapor drifts, and I spray the nutgrass. And it's an easy way of getting rid of that nutgrass. Be very careful, follow label directions, and do it at your own risk. Here's something that is a real help to the gardener. Excuse me, a gnat just swallowed one. This is a speed weeding in a bottle. This kills grass, and it won't injure the plant. You can use it in flower beds, you can use it in vegetable gardens. Follow the label directions. It's grass, be gone, okay? It only kills grass, okay? Now there are other out there that are confusing. There's weed be gone, all kinds of stuff, but grass be gone, because if it gets on a broadleaf plant, it won't hurt it. But if it gets on grass, it kills it. So it's in a bottle. You can squeeze it. You can also buy it in concentrate form. Something else that you can do. Now this is a form of Roundup. It's a herbicide. It will kill anything that's green and growing. And it can kill poison ivy, it can kill weeds, it can kill your vegetables, it can kill your azaleas, your rhododendron, kill anything it gets on. So be careful with it. And I use it in the garden. I'll mix it up in a 2.5 or 2 gallon bucket, and I'll make a concentrate out of it, and I'll take a paintbrush and dab it into that concentrate in the bucket, just dilute it, follow the label directions. And then I will paint it onto the weed that I want to kill. And it may be a slow process, but it beats the heck out of getting down on your hands and knees and just pulling every one of them. You can go through your garden and you can dab it on. I have a long handled stick that I have with a brush on it, so I can stand up and dab it as I go down the row. Something else you might use to cover up larger plants is just, when you're applying herbicides, is use a bag like this. It comes from the grocery store, plastic bag. Some places have already outlawed it, but you can use this plastic bag, and it does a great job of covering the plants. You know, if you find in the grocery store garlic, you can plant that garlic. You know, June, July, August is a great time to plant the garlic. But here's what you do. You just plant the bigger cloves on the outside. If I can get it open, the outside of the cloves of garlic that are together. The small ones on the inside will take forever to grow and produce you some edible garlic. But these larger ones, like this, plant those, and the rule of thumb that I use is plant them as deep as they are tall, and plant them with the point up, okay? The point up as deep as they are tall. So here we have this, and we have them in the ground about 1 inch, 1.5 inches. But let's say that they're bigger cloves, they're 2 inches tall, plant them 2 inches in the ground, okay? Now, for tomatoes, one of the greatest tips I can give you is that this Miracle-Gro, and there are other brands of fertilizer that can be dissolved in water that can be used in the garden. In fact, if you go to the big box stores, they have their brands and others, and it's great. Now, what I do, and we average an incredible amount of tomatoes. My specialty, it happens to be tomatoes. Tomatoes, and I have bred myself some of my own variety of okra. Over the last 14 years, I have been working on developing a really good okra. I'll tell you more about that in another video. But I use, this says use water your plants with it every 2 weeks. Now I use it half strength, and I water my tomato plants every week with it. This is what happens with the tomato plants. They will use up the fertilizer, and then they begin to get anemic. But if you mix it up too strong, it all turns to vines, and it won't produce a lot of tomatoes. You can see behind me here the number of tomatoes that are hanging on these tomato plants. Well, this is the middle of June. We've had some extremely cool nights. It takes high nighttime temperatures to help ripen the tomato plants. So we don't have many ripe just yet, but they'll be ripening up very soon, and we'll be able to take them to the food banks, and that's what we do in this particular garden. I have another private garden over on the other side that I grow and do a lot of testing. But we average, now you ready for this? We average anywhere from about 55 to about 70, 80 pounds of tomatoes per plant. I have gotten as many as 115 pounds of tomatoes per plant. That was a couple of years where we kept track of it, trying to set a world's record, where we got 153 pounds of tomatoes off an average of 40 tomato plants. Okay, so we know what we're doing with tomatoes. The next coming up video is going to show you how to grow some super tomato plants from those tomato plants you have in your garden. You need to watch that video, because you can increase your production with tomato plants you already have in your garden by as much as 50, 60, 100%, maybe 200%, depending on the variety you have and the part of the country you live in. I live in the southeast, so when we plant our tomato plants, they grow until the frost kills them. So we have an extremely long time for them to grow. I usually plant them in April. We have April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and usually they die in November. So we get a huge yield from them. Here's something else I want to share with you, Neem Oil. That is one of the greatest organic sprays that you can have. Now follow the label directions, and the directions are on the back of the bottle. You just peel this off. But this is a fungicide, it is a insecticide, and it is a miticide. Now it kills mites on azaleas and rhododendrons and citrus plants, and even on your tomato plants and peppers and so on. And it won't burn them if you mix it right. It's a great addition, and it's organic. It's easy to use. You can use it in a pump-up sprayer, or you can use it in a hose-in sprayer. All you do is you connect your hose to this, and it will not start flowing until you pull this trigger. See? And then it starts working. Well, that's just some of the things I wanted to share with you this morning from my garden. God bless you. We'll see you in church this Sunday. Stand up for those things that make America great and strong.